Here's some good questions. Good questions, good answers. So, eat what your body was designed to eat. Okay, we all know our body's designed to eat certain things, right? Okay. Anybody, we've all got a car? Okay, gasoline car, what would happen if you put diesel into a gasoline car? Is it going to work? No, because it's not designed to run on diesel. What would happen if you put gasoline into a diesel car?
Wreck your pump.
Do something, right? Okay. I don't know exactly. I know you wouldn't get very far, right? And same thing if you have jet fuel is different than race car fuel, and you design engines based on what they're going to run on, right? So you put the fuel in it, which it's designed to do. The exact same thing is true for human body. Okay. So here's what you want to make sure. You want to make sure that you're meeting all your nutritional requirements. So everything in your body is made up of what you eat. Have you ever heard saying, you are what you eat? Okay, that is 100% true. And have you guys ever stopped to think about what you are? Things like, I'm good luck. I'm not. No, here's what you are. In a nutshell, you are somewhere around 70 trillion cells. That's all you are. Okay, 70 trillion cells. You could literally deconstruct you one cell at a time. If you wanted to pick one cell apart at a time and make a pile of cells. You'd have hair cells, you'd have skin cells, you'd have bone cells, but you can pick them all apart and you're just a pile of cells. Now 70 trillion is a pretty big number. If you took one cell apart a second, it would still take you about 220,000 years, day and night to do it, just to give you an idea. Isn't that amazing? But that's all you are. Okay, but you're organized and controlled and coordinated, and we won't get into necessarily the miracle of that. But those cells need things to function. I mean, your skin cells are sloughing off, and new skin cells are being born and made, and they're doing so with the food that you eat. I mean, your hormones in your body are communicating with different organs and systems in your body, and they're doing so having been made from building blocks of food that you put within your body. Signals from your brain are going down to your pinky toe if you're wiggling it, and those signals, those synapses, and those amazing signals going through nerve cells are happening because of the food that you've eaten in your body. So there's another saying that goes, garbage in, garbage out. Okay, the better, higher quality of nutrients, and you need to meet all of them. Okay, the healthier you're going to be. If you are deficient in something that you need, your body will not function properly. That simple. So the very, very basis of being healthy is you have to meet the things your body needs. So in addition to things like protein, fat, carbohydrates, you also need things like minerals, okay, vitamins. You need all of those things as well because your body needs it. Someone said the vitamin D. Okay, we've all heard of that one. Okay, I heard of it the hard way, right? Does 1,000 different things in the human body. Vitamin D. It's kind of needed. And if you don't have enough of it, those 1,000 processes can't happen as well. Okay? So the very first thing you need is you got to make sure that the food that you're eating is giving you adequate nutrition. So in other words, you're meeting all your nutritional requirements. Has everybody heard of scurvy? Okay, that's not enough vitamin C. There's another one, we went through all the vitamin deficiencies. If you don't have enough, but here's the thing, is if you don't have enough vitamin C on a massive level, it turns into scurvy. Okay? If you don't have vitamin D, it turns into rickets. Okay, that's when you have a massive, gross nutritional shortfall in it. But if you have just a subclinical one, okay, so it's not like it's like you don't have enough, you're good, you don't have enough, you're good, don't have enough, you're good, don't have enough, you're good, oh, now you got scurvy, right? It's a scale. If you don't have enough, you don't have enough, your body can't work properly, okay? The other thing is we want to limit foods that aren't contributing to these requirements. And we're going to get there later as to what that means, okay? So don't worry about that right now. And lastly, you want to eliminate things that aren't food. Is that fair enough? Because just because we eat something doesn't mean it's food. I mean, it might start out as food, but by the time we get to it, it resembles food very, very much. And there are actually things that I can guarantee some of the room maybe know somebody today that consumed that never was food. That was just made in a lab, right? And we'll get to that in a minute. But that being said, okay, what are we supposed to eat? Anybody know what wolves eat?
Meat.
Deer. Human beings. I think there's only one case ever I've heard of a wolf eating human being. Okay, one thing they won't eat is human beings. Wolves tend to eat deer. And meat. And lots of other things, but as an example. Cats eat mice. Right? I had a neat conversation with a patient, and we'll get into this in a little bit more detail in a bit. They were telling me about how their cat's diabetic. Like, how's your cat diabetic? I don't know. So I'm like, well, what do you feed your cat? Not cat food. So I'm like, bring it in, let me look at it. And sure enough, guess what the cat food's made out of? Corn and grains and wheat. And I'm like, well, what's a cat supposed to eat? Have you ever seen a cat in a cornfield? So cats eat mice.
Chasing mice.
Chasing mice. Robins eat worms or bugs. Yeah. Very good. You guys are very good at this. Ooh, tough one. Koala bears. Eucalyptus leaves. Very good. I had to look that one up because I wasn't sure it was bad.
Eat what?
You don't have the right qualifications.
Oh. Yeah. That's good. Cows eat?
Grass.
Pardon me? Grass or hay, right, okay? I want to actually show you guys something because I'm building up to something. This isn't just, the animals eat, it's not like you pull the thing and go, right? I want to show you guys a video on this, on what happens to cows when they don't eat grass. This is actually kind of neat. Tumors.
We produce quite a little corn on our farm, and a lot of it goes into feed. This is called wet corn gluten feed. This is a byproduct of the ethanol industry. It's real flaky, and the cattle just love it. This is high moisture corn. This is shelled corn directly out of the field. This is the third product that we feed to our cattle, which uses corn. This is called corn silage. This is the whole plant run through the corn chopper, and it's just another way to utilize all the corn that's grown in the state of Iowa. And there's the corn, the silage, and the hay, and the gluten, all right there.
So it's almost all corn.
Yeah, it's 60% of the ration is corn, probably.
Look at that. So would you consider yourself corn-fed?
In a manner, yeah, probably.
What are you eating for lunch here today?
Corn-fed beef. Do you actually know anything about corn-fed beef? Do you know what it does to them?
What is it?
To the cattle. It's a good thing they slaughter when they do, because it actually kills them to feed them to make the meat like that. So they'd be dead in 6 months anyway eating that stuff, so it's just as well that they slaughter them.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Where is this?
Every major confinement feedlot, everywhere.
We're a cattle company, but we do grow a lot of corn. About 7,000 acres every year. And it is all used for animal feed.
The grasslands of eastern Colorado, where cattle traditionally grazed, have become some of the biggest corn farms in the country. And corn has replaced grass as the principal feed for cattle.
The mass production of corn drives the mass production of animal protein in confined operations. And you got to have cheap feed to do the confinements.
At Sue Jarrett's cow-calf operation, we saw how cattle are raised before they go to the feedlot, eating grass on the open range. When Sue's father ran the ranch, cattle spent almost all their lives eating grass, and it took several years to reach market weight. But in recent years, cattle have begun spending more and more of their lives in feedlots.
They put on weight faster if you don't let them move. So total confinement, less space for movement. They eat continually, and you get them into the market, into the food chain. But cattle were not meant to be on a corn-fed diet for that long. You know, we used to feed them 60, 90 days was one thing. Up to 120, you could make it. You start really pushing cattle on a corn-based diet after that, the ulcers and the stomachs don't take it well, and they start getting sick.
We've gone from really feeding no grain to rations now that contain up to 90% grain. But these animals evolved not in feeding these high starch or things like corn. You feed a lot of corn, more acid's produced, and the animal can get into trouble. Corn in this environment produces these acids, the pH drops, and then they succumb to a condition we call acidosis. And if it's not treated, the animal dies. A lot of people look at these large feedlots now and question whether that's what we should be doing. But the reason that it's done, it's economic. And because of the yields on corn and the amount produced and the efficiency of producing corn, it's lower cost per unit of usable energy to the animal.
If the American people wanted strictly grass-fed beef, we would produce grass-fed beef for them. But it's definitely more expensive. And one of the tenets in America is America wants and demands cheap food.
How many stomachs does a cow have? 4. That's 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you have 4 stomachs? So they can digest what? Grass. And what do we feed cattle?
Corn.
Usually corn. Now, we're not going to necessarily get into what that does to the cow, aside from the fact that you hear them talking. If you feed a cow corn for a prolonged period of time, what happens to it? It gets sick and it dies. I mean, they're saying 60, 90, 120 days tops. They get the ulcers, the acidosis, and the cow will die. That's what happens when you feed a cow something that it's not designed to eat. Okay? It gets sick and it dies. So imagine this just for a second. You feed a cat corn, it gets diabetes. You feed a cow corn, it gets acidosis in the stomach and ulcers, gets sick. Those aren't what those animals are designed to eat. So imagine this. You take your dog. Okay, we all have dogs. What do you think would happen to your dog if you fed Twinkies, Pepsi, and pizza?
Wouldn't do very well.
Wouldn't do very well, right? So probably get sick. Okay, what's the first thing we do when our dogs get sick? We take them to the vet. Vet would run a bunch of tests. Okay, probably diagnose your dog, and what would your vet do you think? Do you think it would give your dog some doggy statin drugs and some doggy diabetic drugs? Or do you think your vet would ask you what you're feeding your dog, tell me what you're feeding it, what would your vet say?
Shame on you.
Shame on you. And honestly, what would they say? They would say, well, if you want your dog to be healthy, you have to what?
Change what you feed them.
You have to change what you feed them. Okay, and we get that with dogs, and we get that with cows, and we get that with cats, right? But the biggest mistake that we make is we somehow think that we are different than other animals. Okay, so start thinking the same way. If you eat things that your body is not designed to eat, you will get sick like a cow does when it eats corn, or a dog would if you gave it pizza, or a cat would if you gave it whatever cat food, dry cat food they had. And by the way, they switched the cat to a meat diet, a raw meat diet, right? Cats are predators. Guess what happened to the cat? Cat got better. Okay, so think about this just for a second. We're in this rush, massive epidemic of sickness and disease that we've never seen before in our continent. We've got rising rates of cancer, rising rates of heart disease, diabetes rates are going through the roof. 1 out of 3 children born today will become diabetic at some point in their life. For minority kids, it's 1 in 2. Okay, and what are we not saying? Why are we stepping back and going, why is this happening? I mean, imagine this. Imagine and if you've ever been to a medical doctor before, and again, I'm not here to bash medical doctors, that's not my place at all. I'm just saying that they're asking the wrong questions. You go to your medical doctor, and you're diagnosed with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. What's the first thing they ask you? It's your family history, right? Did your parents have it? Okay, and if they did, what are they going to tell you? It's genetic. It's hereditary. It's in your genes. Okay? Now think about this just for a second. Imagine you had a healthy line of dogs. You fed them dog food forever. Then all of a sudden you fed the next generation this garbage. And that generation got sick. And then you fed the next generation the same garbage. And that generation got sick. And the next generation the same garbage. And that generation got sick. That last generation, even though they have 2 previous generations of sick parents, isn't the 6 parents' genes that are causing the problem. Because you go back 1 more generation and guess what? They were healthy. So if you're, keep saying you're a medical, I don't mean yours, I mean any medical doctor takes a medical family history and goes back 1 or 2 generations and not 50, to me they're committing malpractice. Honestly. Because who's to say that if your parents had diabetes and their parents had diabetes and you have diabetes, it's not because of your genes, maybe you just inherited or learned the same behavior from both of them.
Bad eating habits.
Bad eating habits. There you have it. Okay? And so we are not any different. If you feed us what we're designed to be fed, we're healthy. When we eat what we're designed not to eat, we get sick. Isn't it easy? Isn't it simple? Okay? So the issue becomes then, what do humans eat? What are we designed to eat?